This week, we're revisiting one of the scariest horror remakes of the 2000s, The Grudge. We're diving deep into the curse that terrified audiences and left us all afraid to turn off the lights.
Welcome to the No More Late Fees podcast. I'm Danielle.
And I'm Jackie, and we're just two best friends and ex-Blockbuster employees rewatching some of the best and worst movies from the late 90s and early 2000s. This week, we're talking about the 2004 supernatural horror film, The Grudge. But before we dive into the terror, let's get into some housekeeping.
We should never start a band.
No.
Oh.
Don't forget to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Your feedback feeds us and also helps us grow. So we love hearing from you. And this week we have a new review. It's titled Perfect Hit of 90s and Y2K Nostalgia. This podcast is so much fun. The hosts are best friends and it shows. Their chemistry is fantastic. The episodes are full of insightful and hilarious commentary, and I look forward to this show every week. Thanks, Jim. That's one of our pod pals from Busy Signal Podcast. If you haven't checked it out, it's full of nostalgia. Check it out.
And while you're leaving a review, make sure you hit like and subscribe so you don't miss an episode.
And don't forget we have merch. So head on over to our Redbubble store at nomorelatefees.redbubble.com and check out all of the fun stuff that we have with our logo on it, because why not? Why the fuck not?
Promote us, please. My strategy is always to wear our No More Late podcast merch in airports, hoping someone is bored enough and needs a new podcast to listen to that they're like, that kind of sounds interesting, and maybe adds it to their Spotify.
I wear it when I go walking into the gym. So if someone is ogling my boobs, they will read it as well. Great marketing strategies we've got here.
Walking billboards.
Yeah.
But this week, we are joined by our awesome pod pals, Ben and Rob from the Every Movie Ever podcast. Welcome, guys.
Oh my God, hi.
Hey.
Sorry. Someone with ADHD trying to not talk during the cold open. I was just
That was
You guys look like you're ready to jump out
You're
of
just
your
like-
chairs.
Honestly,
There was lots of
it was
nodding
like-
and pointing and
Yeah.
thumbs up.
We're miming, man. We were miming our way through that one. That was good. Thanks for having
Hello.
us, guys.
Hello.
We're so
I'm
glad that you
excited.
joined us.
Yes.
Us too.
We're going to put on smack on an unhinged warning for this episode
How
because
gay.
Rob and Ben are just our cup of tea. Definitely going to make it very unhinged. So buckle up.
Apologies in advance.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Or
also,
not.
you're welcome.
Well,
Or not.
We'll try and
If
stay
you're
on good
here-
behavior. We'll
If
be
you're
on good
here,
behavior.
you already know. Yeah. If you
Come
want to
on.
learn more about Rob and Ben, make sure to check them out later this week on our bonus episode as we rank some of our favorite Americanized horror and maybe not so horror remakes. Thanks, Rob.
Look, it's a small pool, you know?
It's so many. It's unbelievable. There is so many.
All right. Well, Jackie, bring us back to focus. Tell us about The Grudge.
So The Grudge follows an American nurse, Karen, who is working in Tokyo and encounters a mysterious and deadly curse. This curse fills its victims with rage before consuming them and spreading to others. It stars Sarah Michelle Gellar, Jason Behr, Bill Pullman, Clea DuVall, Ryo Ishibashi,
Nailed it.
Thank you,
Mhm.
Yoko Maki,
Nailed it.
Yuya Ozeki.
No,
No.
that was fine. That was fine. I don't.
Rob,
I struggle with like other names
you're
that are
doing
not.
you're doing fine, sweet. You're
Absolutely
doing great,
smashing
sweetie.
it. You are smashing it. Smashing it.
It was directed by Takashi Shimizu. Did I
Mhm.
say that right?
Mm.
Smashed it.
Nailed it.
Okay, cool. And written by Steven Susco.
Mhm.
And you can currently watch it on Peacock. But before we start, let's get into our ratings rewind.
You know the drill. Before we get into the movie, we will reveal the rating our Y2K versions of ourselves would give. Then at the end, we'll see if our current selves agree with our initial rating. Our scale consists of would buy it again.
The best would play on repeat.
5-day rental.
Would watch again.
2-day rental.
Okay, but nothing to write home about.
And same-day rental.
It's trash.
That sound was like this.
You do that so well. Oh, you all do it really well.
We'll start with you, Rob. What is your Y2K rating?
Thank you for asking. I didn't see this in Y2K. I'd seen the original. I was too busy, shoving my glasses up my nose and going, Japan's media is actually excellent. I wouldn't dare sully my eyes with an American remake.
Ben, what is your rating?
So my Y2K self, we used to have a little family tradition. So on Friday nights, it would be my older sister, my 2 nephews, and my niece would all go to Blockbuster. And we were allowed to pick out a film each. And then we'd spend the weekend watching those films. And each week we'd try and get cheekier and cheekier with my sister, who was quite strict. So we'd be sort of like, straight to the horror section. Oh, can we get Ghost Ship? And she was like, all right, maybe. Oh, can we get this? Can we get that? And we picked up The Grudge the one week, and she was like, I actually really want to see it. So yeah, so we all sat down as a family to watch it. And I lost my fucking mind about it. It was incredible. Like, my brother had shown me Species. That freaked me out. I was into like some sort of like weird. I was shown body horror and creature features way too young.
Right.
So this lost my mind over it. It was incredible. This would be a would buy again.
Jackie?
I watched this movie exactly once. It was in the theater. And I didn't sleep that night, and I stared at the corner of my ceiling. And so same-day rental for me.
Fair.
And for me, never seen it. I know we're all shocked.
Okay.
I do feel that you were saying, staring at the corner of your room. One of the great things that this film did for I think all of us in the era was it opened up where the spooky thing could be.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't previously considered spooky things being on the ceiling.
Yes.
Right? I'd been like, they'd be on the floor, they'd be round the corner.
In the
ceiling was
closet.
the safe space,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The ceiling was my friend. I loved the ceiling. I was like, I'll just climb up on the ceiling. Nothing bad has ever happened on the ceiling.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, awful.
And under your blankets. I'm like, why?
Right.
Why?
Yeah.
Right.
See, when you're a kid, under the blankets, the safe space. That's
Safe
where no
space.
demons can go, no ghosts can go there. It's like home base, right?
Yeah.
Nah.
Ruined it.
Onryo's waiting for you, buddy. She's there.
Danielle, what was the box office looking like for The Grudge?
So the movie had a budget of $10 million, and it made $187.2 million.
Jesus Christ.
In just the first weekend alone, the film managed to gross $39.1 million, and it obviously surpassed its budget. It declined by the second weekend, however, by at least 43%, earning $21.8 million. But despite this, it was still a massive hit, and it became the first horror film to top the Halloween box office since House on Haunted Hill in '99. There was a few things that happened. So that first weekend, someone made a call at the studio, said, ring, ring, ring. Bitch, we making a sequel.
Right.
So the sequel, The Grudge 2, that came out in 2006, was greenlit on that Monday after the surprise success over the weekend with $39 million. This is how these studios work.
That's the equivalent of calling the set and just be like, no one go home. No one.
Right.
You're pulling a late night.
Get back on the set.
Get back
I
to
know
work.
90% of you bitches are dead, but get back on the set.
You're ghosts now. We're doing it again.
And until this film was beaten by Friday the 13th in 2009, which opened with a 40.1 million intake. This film had held the record for the highest grossing opening weekend for a horror remake in history. So the film made $9.24 million from DVD sales in its first week. And it came in at number 2 after Ray. And, you know, because of The Ring And the Grudge's
Mm.
success, we saw a onslaught of just a bunch of Japanese horror remakes during this time.
Oh God, yeah.
But Jackie,
It
you ready
was-
to hear what Lil Raj had to say?
Little
I'm
Raj.
ready.
Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times gave the film 1 star out of 4, writing, "I'm not sure how most of the scenes fit into the movie. I do, however, understand the underlying premise. There's a haunted house, and everybody who enters it will have unspeakable things happen to them." He criticized the fragmented time structure and said he eventually lost all patience. And you know what, Lil Raj? I feel you. I have no
Mhm.
nostalgia for this movie because I never saw it. So rewatching it, I was like, what the fuck is happening?
What I love about Little Roger's quote there, though, right, is he's such a well-respected film critic. And his opinion, he's been so ahead of the curve in so many ways. And he really defined what the field of sort of film critique was for lots of people. But sometimes when you read one of his reviews, you're like, I don't think he's very good at watching films, right? Because he watches a movie that lots of people watched and enjoyed and was like, yeah, great. And he's like, yeah, I didn't really understand it. And I'm like, you're Roger Ebert. Like, surely, like,
He surprises us. Like,
Right.
honestly, he surprises us because some movies were like, this is shit. And he's like, actually. And we're like, what?
right, yeah.
And then sometimes he's just right on the money. He's just
Right.
like us. Roger Ebert is just like everyday people.
I just love the idea of Roger Ebert being there, being like, Pulp Fiction. Yeah, didn't understand it, mate. What? That guy died
Fragmented-
20 minutes ago.
Fragmented timeline. Fuck off, mate. I'm done.
And
Lost all patience.
I don't disagree with Roger on this one because I was like, at certain points, I'm like, okay, so is this like 3 separate timelines that happened in the house, and they're just presenting it to us without context?
Mm.
And then it's like, no, like I think they all live here at the same time. Like it was very confusing, and there's a way to do like a Pulp Fiction or a Go where
Yeah.
it's storylines that weave into one another, and so you kind of start back at the
Mm.
beginning in
Yeah.
the second and third act. But this one was just because we weren't given any context, we're just like, okay, who are these people? And that's
Right.
their mom, but they're moving
Yeah.
in. Like it was
It's
was
the sort of
quite
thing they
confusing.
could have done each chunk with perhaps like a different color grade, or like certain parts of the timeline are in black and white,
Yes.
or because it switches around enough that a title card would be it would be annoying because
Right.
you'd see it every 5
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah.
But some sort of stylistic change in how what we were seeing was being presented would have been incredibly helpful.
Like
I think-
Memento.
I
Like
was just
Memento,
thinking
exactly
that.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't get much from that film in the sense that I knew what the hell was going on, but they did go black and white, and I was like, this the
Right.
past, y'all. And we have Sam Raimi to thank for this movie because he helped Sony
Yeah.
option the remake rights to the film
Mm.
because he was such a big fan of the original. He also produced this film through Ghost House Pictures, the banner of Ghost House
Yeah.
Pictures, alongside Robert Tapert and Takashi.
Sam Raimi also got his brother cast in this.
Of course he did.
Yeah,
I
of course
love
he did, because
nepotism
it's
in that family.
Right. Ted Raimi has never had a role that his brother hasn't gotten for him.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about Nick Cage as a Nepo baby, but Ted Raimi, if it weren't for his brother, would be working in a Walgreens.
The guy
Clint Howard?
Gunn. Well,
Oh.
Clint Howard. I feel
Oh,
like Clint
yes.
Howard is on his own track though. He don't need Ron.
Yeah.
But
James Gunn's
Sean
brother,
James
yeah.
Gunn, Sean Gunn. But Sean got Gilmore Girls all by himself.
There you go.
I mean, that's a mixed win.
yeah.
Gilmore Girls. Gilmore Girls is one of those shows that I've seen because I wanted to see how it ended, and then it refused to end, and I was like,
Yeah.
just please wrap these narratives up. And they're like, no, now it's 20 years later. Oh.
Before we get into cast and crew, let's hear a message from our pod pals.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ben Groves.
And my name's Rob McFarlane.
And together we are the Every Movie Ever podcast.
We've always found refuge in movies. We love them all, from sci-fi, horror.
To Oscar-winning drama, And so bad they're good B movies.
Each of us has had major mental struggles.
I'm sober.
I should be.
Trauma.
Mental breakdowns.
And to make sure that we checked in with our best mate at least once a week, we started the Every Movie Ever podcast.
Join us as we survey the worst movies in the world
And the cinematic gems that you may have missed.
So, whether you're a fan of Batman or Billboards,
Godzilla or God level writing,
we've got episodes done.
and hundreds to come.
Nick Frost says we can't do every movie ever.
But we'll show him some fried f***ing gold.
Find us on Spotify
Or Apple Podcasts.
or anywhere else.
Click the link in our bio to find us. Consume!
So, our cast and crew fun facts. Sarah Michelle Gellar was not the first choice to play Karen, but after
Right.
her success in Buffy, she was cast to bring star power to the film.
I mean, we just did Simply Irresistible, and it was the same thing. They were just using my girl for her Buffy status. And
Right.
I'm not mad at it. I'm actually surprised, even though I don't like horror films,
Mm.
or I'm just scared of them. I don't want to say I don't like them. I'm just scared.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's
that
an
I didn't
uncomfortable
see-
experience.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't see this one because I love her so much. And because Jason Behr's in it, and
Yes.
Roswell.
Yeah.
Anytime that I could bring up the defunct Alien TV show from the late 90s, I will. And he was also in this movie, and I don't know how I didn't see it.
Right,
But,
this seems like catnip for you. You'd have been like,
Yeah.
well, I'm going to
Yeah.
just brace
Yes.
myself and go in.
Yeah.
I understand. Obviously, she was the biggest thing on the planet in the early 2000s. I don't know if she's a good choice, like artistically, for this film. In terms of, I don't know how much she nails. She kind of gives confused more
Yeah.
than she does. I but don't know whether or not she just went, well, I'm an exchange student, so I'm just going to wander around looking confused and acting confused permanently. But
That
I don't
actually
know.
helped sell her for me though, because I was like,
Really?
yeah, because like move to Japan for a week and all you can do is wander around and be confused. Everything is upside down and different. Like
Right,
It's
right,
insane.
right.
I just don't feel. I think one of the things that was hard is that we don't relate to her character. Like, we don't.
No.
She's supposed to be kind of like our eyes, I guess.
Right, but
And-
she's given no agency. She's given no character. She's
Right.
just
He keeps
default
going
lady.
back. Like,
Right.
why?
Right, right,
Yeah.
right.
But,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I helped the old lady. I saw some shit.
and I'm
I'm
done.
out.
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Popo
it
is
feels,
on the case.
Yeah.
Like,
it
I'm done.
feels like a location that is incredibly easy for her to avoid.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
It's
Right.
like the ghost isn't in the house. The ghost isn't on her commute to work. The ghost isn't in her employee toilet at work.
Yeah.
It's at
Yeah.
a strange old lady's house on the other side of the city. And she's like, well, there's nothing I can do.
Right.
Yeah.
Just
Th-
don't go.
It's like if Daphne moved to Japan and became a nurse and then encountered this thing and she was like, I have to solve the case. I don't have to live through it.
Yeah.
Like,
I blame everyone else because Sarah Michelle Gellar, when she's given proper direction
Mhm.
in writing,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
she kills it. So
Yeah.
I think that she did the best with what she was given. And that's what I'm
100%.
going to say.
the studio originally wanted Selma Blair to play the lead role. And as we know,
Okay.
they co-starred in Cruel Intentions together. But
And I think the
Oh,
only reason
okay.
they gave it to Sarah was because she had that edge of having more popularity than Selma at the time.
Yeah,
Right,
Buffy's a
right, right.
powerful drug. It got Joss Whedon a career, so like, come on,
Yeah. It works magic.
right?
That- Josh motherfucking Whedon.
Yes,
It's about damn time. Had to add his name to
God,
the
yeah.
list. I do like, I mean, we've kind of talked about this already about the movie being set in Japan, and
Mm.
out of all
Mm.
these Japanese remakes, that it's the only one set still in Japan. I
Yeah.
do also like that the director, Takashi, I'm not going to say his last name because I'm butchering it. He directed the original version of this
Mm.
film and was asked to return, which I was shocked. And I wonder if that has a lot to do with Sam Raimi being a producer. It
Right.
feels like he would push for something like that because I feel like the studio would always try to figure
Oh,
out how to
God, yeah.
Americanize it.
Yeah. I
They'd have
think
got
this
an
is
American director on board immediately if they could.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Sam Raimi was almost 100% behind like understanding what good horror is. The guy made The
Right.
Evil Dead. Like he's gonna know. There's the guy that's got the juice. Let's just get him.
Right.
I think
And
this is going to be one of those ones that you can't take to America though because of
Mhm.
the type of the ghost that it is. Because it's an onryo, so it's a specific Japanese entity. Like
Right.
it's big in like Japanese folklore that it can manifest to be physical and like kill. And if
Yeah.
you're to do that in America, you've essentially just got every American horror film ever, like
Yeah.
Insidious, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've got all of that stuff there. It's already been done in America plenty of times. You have to keep it specific to this because to just throw an onryo like in America, you'd be like, oh, okay, why?
Right. Although
Why?
I do like the fact it's Takashi Shimizu. I like that it's a lot of the crew are the original crew.
Mhm.
I do feel though, because I did a little looking into the Grudge franchise. The original Ju-on film is a remake of a short film which has the same plot, and the American version is a remake. And he very much has his one film, and
Mhm.
he
Yeah.
seems to just go about his life finding excuses and reasons to make that film again
Yeah.
in the same
Yeah.
house with the same scenes.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit like it's like obsessive, like, oh,
Dude.
here's 30 mil. What do you want to make? And he's like, the same film again.
I've got one idea,
right,
and I
right.
think it's gonna work.
Right,
Why do you
and they're
think
like,
that? Because I've done it 4 times already.
Right. And they're like, who do you want to cast on this? He's like, let me just get IMDb up, see who. Oh, yeah, we got a cast.
Yeah.
Because from last time, you know.
What's Buffy doing?
What do you think that, like, the fact that it was an American writer that, like, did this version?
Mm.
Do you think a lot of the context was missing? Because I feel like I would have really loved to understand the idea that this is a Japanese
Mythological.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
like that context is not given to us at
No.
all.
No, I think there are clear hallmarks in this version of the film that are an American cultural experience, right? There's a really weird one early on where the boyfriend wakes up late for his exam, and then she's like, oh, I've set the clock an hour early, so we've got time, you know, for and then, you know, it then cuts to them walking to his exam really slowly with time to waste, which implies that his stamina is not great, right? Because he started out late, and then she's like, we've got 1 hour. And then they seem to take 55 minutes to walk to his exam, which he arrives for in time. And they stop at a graveyard along the way.
Mhm.
Now, that's
That
your
bit bothers
chunk.
me.
That's your chunk of character building before we get into plot-driven stuff, right? So that's your one opportunity to tell me something about this character that's going to inform my relationship with her as she goes through the events of the film. And I don't know how any of that is in any way relevant to me liking or needing her. It's just, hey, she's good at planning sex.
Right.
She's really good at changing clocks, though. You know,
Right.
Right.
All we learn is that it was really initially him who's coming over to be a student. And he says, like, I'm really glad that you decided to come with me. And the fact that she's a quote unquote nurse, I don't really learn or understand.
Right.
If I didn't do the notes, I wouldn't have known that's what her job is, because I thought she was volunteering. Like, I wasn't.
Yeah, same.
They called the other girl, her predecessor, a helper. So, like, I'm not understanding what she does, because like, after she leaves him to go to her test, she walks into this building. There's other people there. It seems like there's a lot of American people there because they're all speaking English.
Right.
And then we meet Ted Raimi, his character, and she's being sent on something like a mission, I don't know, to go by herself. And again, we don't learn anything about who she is, what she does. Like,
it feels like they have to use the runtime to explain why we're following American characters in a Japanese setting, which is fine. But I think by virtue of it being an American writer, he's writing American characters, and then having to spend runtime on contextualizing why they're there and why they're behaving this way. And what that time spent doing that is time that should have been spent on making us identify with the character rather than give backstory that's not relevant. Just have her be American in Japan and cover it with a sentence and spend that time making me like her.
Right.
Well, because
Rather
even
than just confusing
when
me.
when she goes to the lady's house, she spends more time cleaning than she does nursing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's hard though, isn't it? I mean, like in the original film, the pacing's a lot different because you're already in it. You already understand the rules. You know the cultural context of what's happening around everyone, and everyone is sort of like bound to the rules that we're all expected to sort of be in agreement with as the audience. But when you're doing it in the same setting, but with a wildly different cultural cast, you kind of have to spend so much fucking time going, they have to be here because he's an accountant and he couldn't come here without his dementia-ridden mom. So also now there's sisters. She's also an accountant, but in a different building. She's getting followed. That's a weird one.
Right.
Security guard doesn't give a shit. Why? Shut up. Where's the fucking ghost?
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck about their jobs. I don't care why they're there. They're just
And
there.
when we meet the family, so like the way they start the film is that we follow the original helper to the house, and you just see this woman who just is so out of it, and you don't really know the context of what the hell's going on there, and you see the lady come in. She's not greeted by anyone else in the house, and she just starts cleaning. So this is how like we're introduced, and then she gets sucked up. I don't fucking know what. Like I'm still confused as to how she is gone. So you start off with that. So then you're like, okay, what the hell? And then they go back and they show the family coming to the house in the first place. And I'm not even sure at first who the wife is.
No.
Like I wasn't sure if
it was
so
the
we
sister
find out
character or
right. Like I'm because they're all calling her mom. And I'm like, are they also like, what the fuck's happening?
What in the Alabama is going on here?
Yeah.
So I get confused. Then I get some context at some point that the sister's annoyed because the brother at some point's like, how is mom? Like, like almost like he doesn't trust her with the mom. So I'm like, oh, they're gonna definitely talk about this again. No. And then mom has dementia. You just get in this house and she's fucking gone already. Y'all like
right. Like, see, I didn't twig that she had dementia until doing the notes.
Right.
I thought because the few times we see her is post ghostening, right?
Yes,
so I'm like, oh, she's riddled with ghosts. She's mad ghosted up. That's why she needs care because she's seen a ghost, so she's all ghosted up, right? And then
Japan's famous ghost care system that they have in place. Government funded.
She's seen a ghost. Oh, right, okay. And then when she comes into the viewing, which is another thing, there's a part of the exposition flashback where you see the American family move into the house, and he walks into a bathroom he has never walked into before and goes, "We'll take it." And at that point, I'm like, fuck you, you deserve ghosts. Because you've not finished a house tour. You've rocked up, you've seen 2 rooms, and you're going, yeah, we'll buy this. Pow, small change, bruv. Like,
that's what I mean. My mom's terrified by a cupboard. I've got a tiny glass cat. I'm fucking sold, mate. Sign me up immediately.
Because he says, I'll take it after finding his mom who has wandered off. Scarily looking at the ceiling like then, she's about to go into shock, and you're like, but then this is the house.
Find out through expository dialogue that they're fine with her staring because she has dementia, but I thought she was having a ghost moment. I was like, oh, this is her getting ghosted up, but no, she's just like that.
Well, does that opens a whole floodgate of other questions. Is the reason the ghost can't kill her is because like she has dementia and so her mind isn't all there, so she can't.
No, I've got a theory as to why the ghost kills certain characters and then doesn't kill other people. I might save it for later because it's pretty all encompassing and it's gonna change not only your interpretation of this film but maybe your interpretation of cinema. I don't want to oversell it.
I think you are just a bit, but I'm
minds are blown.
So we see all this stuff, and then like I was just so confused about her looking at the ceiling, her looking scared. Him saying, oh, "Yeah, I'm gonna buy this house," not seeing a fucking bathtub full of dirty water, and not being like, "Why is that happening?"
Right.
And the poor realtor, I guess, doesn't know the house is haunted, or
I think he's just selling it. I think he's like, I've got a house that's fucking
Right.
riddled with ghosts.
Yeah.
Here
And
are some
how
foreign people. Buy the house. I get my
Right.
commission and fuck you, bye.
so
Like-
unethical. He puts his hand in that bathtub, and this scene though I didn't take too seriously because I felt like the hand grab was almost like a caress instead of like a
Ooh.
grab. And I was
Yeah.
like, what?
Was
That's
he
not
Why is that
scary.
feeding the
child
ghost?
caressing the realtor?
Was he feeding the ghost?
Like, was she like, "Thank you"?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
maybe.
I was-
Maybe.
I took it as the little kid, what's his name?
Oh, right.
Yukio?
No.
Toshio?
No, it starts with a
Toshio.
T.
Toshio.
Yes.
Oh, because I was
Little
so
I
far away
thought
with
it was-
Yukio. Yukio? No, you racist.
No, you
Toshio?
absolute
Oh, yeah, that's
racist.
it.
Yeah, but Toshio, I thought it was like a little help me type thing because in the flashback later on in the movie, you see him being drowned in the bathtub. So I thought the realtor putting his hand in, he would be sort of like, get me the fuck out of here.
I'm also confused by that as well. Like, I
Mm.
don't understand this little boy.
Mhm.
He'd be
With his
watching
cat.
a lot from the rafters.
He's
I'm like,
kinky like that. He's into
Yeah.
it. You know, he's just like, oh, someone's getting murdered. I'll just sit
I'll
and
just
watch.
sit here and watch and open my mouth and black like, oh
Yeah.
Lord. But who kills him? Is it his
So
dad?
the, fu- so,
dad.
so
His
the,
dad.
yeah,
Yeah.
the dad finds out that his wife Kayako has fallen in love with Peter, the American professor.
Accountant, teacher, whatever the
The
fuck his
accountant
job is.
teacher.
Yeah, I was like, is he a
He's
doctor?
an accountant. He's an accountant teacher.
Generic.
Okay?
I was
Uh,
like, are we in another movie? When did Bill Pullman get here? What's
Right.
happening?
And
Yeah.
for the first half of the movie, I was convinced that Bill Pullman had killed himself because he'd handsed up a student. I was like, oh, she's going to be his
I
student.
thought that too.
He's going to
you
have
know.
handsed her up. And
Yeah.
then she's going to have killed herself because she all got all handsed up by Bill Pullman, and no one could
Infinitely
live
better
with that,
movie.
right? And so he's then killed himself with guilt. But no, what happened was the father finds out that his wife is in love with this American professor and does a murder-suicide. Chris Benoit's the whole family,
Yeah.
and then the violence of that creates this curse on the house, which kills anyone that comes near. And I like the idea that it's not necessarily the spirits of the people, it's like the echo of the evil thing that was done
Right.
that's causing all this. I'm never one for like, okay, so what, she gets her neck snapped and she thinks the best thing she can do is hang about. No, I like the idea that it's something kind of separate from her. It's a reflection of her that's twisted and evil.
I just seeing the little boy, I
Mm.
thought I would be more scared when he does show up or whatever, but I
Kids are creepy,
was
right?
it was creepy, but not like I was like, okay. I think I was more scared of like the black fog of it when I did watch it
yeah.
late last night, and I was like, not smart, Danielle. Because as much as you're not taking this movie seriously, I do take spirits and black
Yeah.
shit at the corner of my ceiling very seriously.
Yeah.
I had to move when I lived in Japan. I had to move. I got a new apartment. It was like right across the town that I was living in. I didn't look at it. It was one of my friends was like, "I've got a spare one. Just rent it off."
Okay,
it's
you didn't
fine."
check that the bath was full of dirty water with a child in it. You
All I
just
did,
went, we'll take it.
I booted in my mate's toilet door, and I was like, "I'll take it," without
Right,
seeing anything. But anyway, the bedroom was a mirror image of the bedroom in this film, and like there was a
Ooh.
cupboard that led to the attic, and I got there on night one after work. I got in, set up all the bed. I was like, "Oh god, this is great." Went to put my bag in the fucking wardrobe, opened it, loft thing there. I was like, "Nah." I'm just gonna go back to my mates because no fucking way. No way. Packed up all my shit immediately. Rode my bike with like 4 backpacks all the way across town. I got there at like 4 a.m. Fucking hated it.
I did read that the cat that regularly appears, because I was like, what's with the cat? Like, is it going to start talking? Are we in a Salem situation?
Or
Turns
Sailor
out-
Moon.
Right? Or
saying.
Sailor Moon?
Yeah.
No. So apparently the ghosts of dead children are said to sort of wander like stray cats.
Oh.
And so it's a black cat is actually seen as a lucky thing because it's like a departed child, which is
Dead
morbid,
kid.
but yeah,
Yeah.
I
yeah.
love
My
that
look's about to change.
they paired the cat with this child, and in real life, the actor playing the little boy was terrified of cats.
No way.
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
Wait, so that's two then, because I know for a fact as well that Sarah Michelle Gellar found she was allergic to Japanese water.
Yes.
So the
Yeah.
scene where she has the shower and the hand comes out of her Sarah Michelle Gellar hair is she had bin bags sellotaped to her body for the allergic reaction. So this director's just like, are you allergic or phobic of anything? Because I will put you in a scene with it.
Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, imagine being a Japanese kid knowing that cats are dead Japanese kids. I'd be scared of them too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Here, hold your fallen comrade.
So Tasha's spirit is often heard meowing throughout the film to not only like
Ooh.
imply that his spirit has merged with this deceased cat, but it also relates to like an old Japanese legend, like you said, about the lost children. So I thought,
Ooh.
I did not know that. If I didn't do the notes, it wouldn't have made sense. So like after we kind of introduced to the family, we go back to Sarah Michelle Gellar's character, and she comes over because the girl who was her predecessor didn't show up to work. And nobody seems concerned about that. Like her boss doesn't seem concerned. Like she has not shown up for work. She's just gone.
Ted
She's
doesn't give a
menial.
shit.
Nah, she's menial labor. She's the help,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, she might be ill. She might be. I don't
whatever.
fucking know. It's Yoko. Who cares?
How much does
You know
she
what I mean?
earn? You know, that much. Yeah, that's fine.
That's
She's
real
probably
messed
just
up.
lost.
It's
the-
fucked.
The
It's
actress
awful.
who plays the mother does such a good job. Like I
Oh, yeah.
believe that she's fully despondent and
Yeah.
but the house
Yeah.
looks a mess. So the other thing is that not only are these people being like terrorized and killed, the menace spirit is fucking up the house. Like
Yeah, it's rude. It's a
it's
rude
just-
ghost.
That's what I mean.
Right.
Are you done with your ramen? Good.
Right. Just
I
dashes
thought it was
dashes the
just the
ramen across the
mom
room.
with dementia, just not knowing, so she was just sprinkling things about, because sometimes she
Is that a symptom?
shuffling around.
I think some of like you see the post-it notes and stuff, like you see that stuff, which I feel is like the communication.
Mm.
Because one of the things that we saw when is it Yoko? Is her name?
Yoko's the missing care worker.
Yeah,
the one that
when she comes in, there's a note on the table that so and so was going out and would be back or something. And then we learn later that she's dead. So like, is the spirit writing that? Like, I didn't know. And then with the ramen thing, you see that the spirit is the one that like turns that over because you see the little footprints later. So it's almost like
human feet.
You think as the like watcher that it's the mom, like it's like Jeremy said, like the dementia. But because we see that scene where the spirit knocks over the ramen, I now start to believe that the spirit is doing fucked up shit in the house, making it a mess. Because I haven't seen that woman get up by herself yet.
Yeah, she is famously lazy.
No.
quite a lazy dementia
Rob.
patient. You know what I mean?
I mean, okay, you can't remember stuff. You can sweep. You don't need memory for sweeping. All right.
Yeah.
Well, and Karen's kind of walking through the house, and she notices that a closet is boarded up, taped up,
Mm-hmm.
and then she hears a noise. So she's like, "Yeah,
Maybe the manager's in there.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Maybe the
Let
dementia
me-
payment has put the carer in the cupboard.
Exactly.
No, stop it.
So she
Right.
pulls everything down, and then that's when she sees the little boy, but he's not ghosty.
No, he looks
No,
normal.
he's just
He looks normal.
Yeah.
So I think you've got the ghosty face, and I think they have two seasons. They have like normal faces when they're just jobbing about the house, and like she bumps into him in the closet, and she's like, "Oh," he's like, "Oh, sorry, I wasn't expecting you to do that. I'm in my civilian clothes." But then when they're up to some ghost shit, right? They put the ghost paint on, and they're like, "Right, it's ghost time." And
Yeah.
because when there's the scene in the blankets where it looks like she's about to go down on her and she's under the blanket, she's like,
Yes.
she's got her ghost face on, right? She's like, "Oh, ghost shit, we're gonna do some ghost shit, put the ghost paint on." And I kind of view it as like them being on or off shift. You know, she bumps into him in the closet, and he's like, no, this is.
He's just smoking a cigarette, like I'm on my break.
I'm chilling with my cat, all right? I'm not. This isn't ghost shit right now.
I put tape on the door for a fucking reason, right? Leave me alone.
I thought the
Wow.
ghost was only going after women that had darker hair at first. That was like just because like the fact that Karen just survives, the mom is surviving, like it doesn't get attacked, but the wife, played by Clea DuVall, does, and she has darker hair. And like I felt like I thought it was just the spirit of the husband who was still angry.
went down.
I think it's got more to do with like the amount of time you spend in the house. I think there's like a hierarchy. There's like a checklist, right? And like she's working her way through the checklist. So dementia mom, been there for a while, get the fuck out of my house. Top of the list, right? Sarah Michelle Gellar, she's in there. She makes a quick phone call. Yes, there's a boy in here. Yes, I'm sure he's Japanese. The best line of dialogue in the film, by the way, because I'm desperate to hear what I'm desperate to hear what that answer is. I want to hear the question. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But was it a Japanese boy? Is he definitely Japanese? Yeah, it's definitely Japanese. All right, that makes it weird.
How could you tell?
That's weird. That is weird. It's an odd line of dialogue to have in there. It's my favorite one. But then I think she sort of like minces in and out of the house every now and then. She's clocking up sort of like 7 or 8 minutes. You know what I mean? Pete is in there a little while. He's going to get like battered, isn't he? Yoko's in there for a while. She's going to get her jaw pulled off. Of course.
You see, your theory holds. You know, people have been there for a long time. She doesn't give many people an opportunity to be there for a long time.
So when so she comes, she sees the little boy, then she goes in with the mom in the room, and then this is when she sees. Because at first I thought the mom was the only one who could see it, right? Like, then she sees it, and she just pulls herself to a fucking corner. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then Popo comes. Yeah. She's like all distraught.
Yeah.
Grandma dead.
Yep.
And
we don't see how she gets out of that situation.
No, we don't. She just is okay somehow. And they take her to the hospital, and they have her in kind of like the psych ward, I'm guessing, to just like see what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
And from this point on in the movie, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if I mentally like checked out or shit just does not make sense at all after this point. Because I think
timeline swap a lot immediately after that.
We do a lot of
3
like
or 4 different times.
It's like unlocking memories. So sort of like it's like when she hits certain points in a video game, you get like a cutscene, and that's what they're doing in the movie. You know what I mean? It's odd. It's an odd choice.
But it's exactly what happens in the original. And I think this is where this director needs to be sat down and be like, buddy, you can write a second good film.
But it works in the original because you've had time to build up everything around it, because you don't have to justify Sarah Michelle Gellar being sort of like, oh, look at this funeral. They must have lost someone they've loved. Like it's a fucking romantic thing. It's like, bitch, it's your funeral. Just let them be.
Also, they must have lost someone they loved. That's called a funeral.
It's just a funeral. It doesn't have to be a Buddhist rite. It's just a funeral.
If you don't love them, why would you turn up?
Yeah. Showed up. I fucking hated this.
It's so funny with you, Jackie.
The detective shows up and starts investigating because Kyoko, is that her name?
Which one?
The one, the nurse. The nurse.
Oh,
Yoko. Sorry.
Yoko, yeah.
Because Yoko has been gone for a significant period of time now.
Now she matters.
Yes. And because Karen comes out of her comatose state and is like, shit's fucked. But I'm going to go back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was horrific. Let me just go right back there.
Yeah, I need to solve the mystery of the weird boy that no one else knows about.
Right. Time for a second date with my ghost friend.
Yeah.
So he is the one that starts to kind of reveal that the house has a dark history. And even his colleagues have died under mysterious circumstances while investigating it. Like, condemn the house.
Right.
Get it gone. Burn it down.
And also, maybe don't witness tamper. Like, if you're a detective dealing with a case and you maybe there's some ghost stuff over here that you're suspicious of, but 80% as a professional of your mind must be on. there's some sort of foul play going here.
Mhm.
So maybe when interviewing witnesses, don't give them identifying details of other people involved in the case so you
Yes.
can knock up their houses. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
as a detective, to go in and be like, okay, well, where were you on the night of the 12th? Great. Well, my main suspect is this guy, and I'm pretty sure he used a knife. You don't need to
Yeah.
know any of this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I'm
Yeah.
like, dude.
Here's his address. His wife's name is this. There we go.
So then we get the flashbacks that we have been yearning for.
Yeah.
Yearning for.
The one thing that was missing.
Yeah, like what happened? Why?
Mhm.
So, like we said before, Kyoko, the mother, was obsessed with Peter, Bill Pullman.
Yeah.
She had journals.
I love
She-
those journals. It
She
was
took
like
it far, yeah.
it looked like my high school journals. Like I
Right.
had a great day at school. Me and Peter go on and on together. Like he looked at me a little bit today, and I knew we were meant for each other. Like is what these fucking journals are like from
And,
a grown woman.
and unfortunately, her husband finds the journals, and he is not an
He's a little bit,
even-tempered
yeah,
man.
he's a little cheesed off, you know. He puts
Yeah.
him a little bit on edge.
Yeah.
Probably
Makes me
because
feel a
this
bit
shit is
better,
not
though.
the first time. Like, I understand
Right.
being mad at her and divorcing her, but what he does instead is wild stuff.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. He takes a little far. Murdering the whole family. I can't, I
right.
can't justify that. It's too far.
Yeah.
Like in my past, I've been insecure, right? And I'm willing to admit it. I've been a bit insecure in my past, and that's fine. I've never murder suicided an entire family, been that insecure. You know what I mean? So I feel like,
No.
in the grand scheme of things, I'm doing all right.
There is one moment in this film that I have to applaud because it just, you could have drowned a toddler in my underwear when I saw old Internet Explorer.
Jesus Christ.
Old Internet Explorer
Jesus.
got me so excited because there's a scene where she uses the computer, and normally when they use a computer, it's just like it's a made up interface. No, they used Microsoft apps.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen it since I was 15. And I was like, I just want to sit down. I want to load MSN Messenger. I want to find
Yes.
untitled4.wma, which is actually like in the end by Linkin Park.
I was
So
just about to
this
say,
popped a
blast
tent
some
in
Linkin
your
Park.
underwear after watching it.
I was like, just that one scene
Mhm.
triggered such a nostalgia bomb for like Winamp Media Player, MSN, scrolling MySpace, getting annoyed because I'm trying to listen to Linkin Park and someone's put Blink 182 in one of the comments, and now I have to scroll to pause the music real quick.
Wait,
Yeah.
Blink 182? Is that how you say it?
Yeah. Oh, Blink
Yeah.
182. We say 182. Yeah.
No, I thought I was like, that's adorable. Haven't heard
Oh,
that
yeah.
one before.
Oh,
Wait, how do you guys say it?
182.
82.
Oh, 182. Okay.
yeah, we'll 182 it.
182.
Yeah.
Where-
182.
So Peter also finds the journals
Mm.
and sees that he was the catalyst for the murder suicide. And so he can't handle the guilt, and that's what makes him commit suicide.
Stupid.
I thought someone pushed his head into the water.
R-
Did I miss that?
Oh, did they? Again, this film is a confusing kaleidoscope of scares.
I thought someone drowned him.
Bill
But
Pullman.
he jumps off the balcony at the
Yeah,
beginning.
it's the guy that goes over the
I'm
balcony
so
first thing.
confused. Who was in the water? Who got their head pushed into the water?
The detective.
The detective,
Oh,
yeah, detective guys.
Yeah.
I
Thank
had to
you.
go to my
Yeah.
notes.
But Bill Pullman has an unidentified stalker who
Yes.
sends him lots of notes in his locker. He then goes to the return address on one, walks in, sees some corpses, and then has a bit of a ghosty time,
Mhm.
and then goes home and kills himself. That's
He
his
saw
arc.
when he saw the little boy that was not really dead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. With his
But
ghost
they let
makeup
him
on.
leave the house, which I was surprised. Like, why is he alive? Why does he
Right.
get to not die from the spirit that he caused, essentially, which is
Right.
crazy. And as this is happening, as you see him going back to look at the notebooks and stuff, you see Karen watching it. in the
Yeah.
house, like as it's
Yeah.
as if it's happening linearly.
The house is just showing her a little vignette of what had
Yeah.
happened in the past.
Yeah.
And
It's like a
also,
highlight reel.
Yeah.
there's a side note of the sister from the second family who is being stalked by the ghost entity or spirit at her job,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like runs away from that and goes to her apartment. Like, some of the things she does really irritates my soul.
Yeah.
Okay.
She is played by actress Katie Strickland, who I love from Private Practice. And funny enough, her and Jason Behr met on this film. They were not in any scenes together, but they met, and they are now to this day still married. And I love
Aw.
to see that.
Oh, that's really cute.
But her character does dumbass shit to me
I
personally.
hated it. Hated it.
Why would you drop the phone, bitch? Why?
Oh
Right.
my God.
Why?
I've never wanted anyone to die so much in my entire life. I was like, you deserve it. Deserve it. Just fucking sit down and put up the white flag because it's over.
Yeah.
Stop running into dark alleyways and closed off.
Yeah.
Dude, stop.
And I guess you can assume she's been in the house a lot because to see their mom, but like I never understand why the spirit leaves the house, because I think it's the only time we see the spirit leave the house
Mhm.
to go and get someone.
Yeah, so I kind of got it like it's like a spiritually transmitted disease, right? So like not
Yeah.
everyone gets it.
Yeah.
So like it's just the house is patient zero, and
Yeah.
you'll go there, and maybe you'll end up with a cough, maybe you won't. Like it's because there's so many like paramedic support staff. Do
Right.
they all go have spin-offs?
Right.
Are they
Right.
all just like trying to do their laundry, and then there's like a little ghost boy with a
Ooh.
cat being like, like it's really random who does or doesn't get
Right.
ghosted up in
Does
this.
she die? Does she get killed?
We don't see. She might just
Okay.
have
See.
poor quality oral sex. We don't
And this
know.
is why I felt like
She
I was
gets
watching
pulled
like
into- like,
5
she-
different movies.
She gets sucked into the bed.
Is that
Like
her?
Oh,
in
it's-
Friday Night.
Oh, of course she
Friday- I
does.
mean-
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
What do you
she
call it?
like she just
Yeah.
Then
I
I
still
get
remember
con-
being under the blankets, but not the in the bed bit.
Oh, okay.
I like how this is under the blankets.
Under the
Yeah,
blankets.
yeah.
Under the blankets. Like,
And then Karen goes to Bill Pullman. I don't know what his real name in this movie is, but his
Peter.
wife, fiance, I don't know who she is, to find out more information. And then then I don't know if like I blacked out, but I know I see her running back to the house, but somehow her boyfriend, played by Jason Behr, also don't know what his character's name is. But if you've been on
Doug.
this show or listened to the show, you already know what's up. Like, don't at me. He's at the house with gasoline. Did they have a
Yeah.
conversation where he's like, I'm gonna end this shit because my
No,
girlfriend's going
The
crazy?
detective had brought the gasoline. The
Yeah.
detective was going to burn the house down, but then he
Yeah.
got drowned by the little boy in the bathtub.
Yeah.
Well, why the fuck are you fucking around going into the bathroom? Burn this motherfucker. You know ghosts are here.
Got
he was
distracted.
Real stupid.
Yeah,
He
man.
got distracted. He was like, is that a cat? Like, cats are pervasive creatures. And if you
Mhm.
hear one meowing, because they're so choosy with who they love, you'll hear a meow and you'll be like, oh, maybe the
Validate
cat
me.
will love me.
Today's the
Maybe
day.
I'll
I'm
get
sorry,
today.
the cat
Today's
had
the
to go
day.
too. Every fucking thing in
Dude.
this house had to go. I'm
Right.
sorry. I love a little kitty cat, but I don't know if that shit's real. Everything in this house, I have to assume is not fucking real. Burn it to the ground. So he dies. Now, what's
Mhm.
his face is? I don't know why her boyfriend is at this house looking for. Is he looking for her there?
Yeah, because
Yes.
so she's gone, she's done her investigative work. She's gone to go see the ex-wife, the professor, who's having like a movie breakdown because she's in like her
Dude, like a
evening wear.
cocktail dress and like
Yeah.
full make. That
She's
shit
got like
made
her
no sense either.
breakdown gown on. Well, no, because it's
Oh.
to indicate that she's playing loose now. Because she's like dressed up for the evening at 2 p.m. because
It's been like a fucking week. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That dude
look,
was your
man.
husband, man. What are you
Yeah.
assuming? He's killed himself. Fuck it. Where's my lippy? I'm gonna
Right.
get told
He
Look, man,
killed
3 p.m.
himself a week ago. Like,
Yeah.
how long has this family been in the house?
Yeah.
like 40 minutes.
So
Um,
she finds
so
out all this shit from the lady.
She finds
and
out all
then-
the shit, and then she has the sad bus ride with the boyfriend who does the classic movie boyfriend thing of just saying the worst possible thing that a human being could say to another human being, while the girlfriend's just there being like, "You're so caring." You know, he's like, "Oh, it's just a ghost. Get over it. Why won't you talk to me? Why won't you let me in? Fucking, because you're acting like this, dude.
Yeah.
Being a douche." And then he's like, well, I don't know where you were. She comes home and he's angry at her for not being home. He clearly needed his dinner. He's like, well, you didn't tell me where you were. So I looked in your notes and there's this house and I'm going to go there. And then she has to chase him because clearly all of her notes on this house don't include the fact that it's a fucking ghost house.
That's actively killing people.
Right.
Like, why would he? I would just wait for her to go home. Why am I looking at this house? Like, does not make fucking. What I don't get is when she finally does get to the house, obviously the ghost is in full form or spirit, and he is like slowly dying on the floor, and she does nothing.
She just tries to drag him out.
She's just like, Doug.
She watches the life drain from his body, and then she tries to go. Like, she does not move. It was really weird to watch him die that way.
It's classic movie nonsense where, like in action movies where people fight and there's like a team of 3 against the one guy and they'll all fight one at a time. And I'm like, come on, man.
Right.
Dog pilot. Just dog pilot.
Right. The amount of times in movies where you because the characters aren't on screen, you're not presented with the fact that they are just stood voyeuristically watching their mate get battered.
Yeah.
Right. And in this, it's like, oh, well, she's not on screen, so we're not supposed to be aware of the fact that she's just sat there voyeuristically watching her boyfriend get murdered, going, well,
but you don't, you see her sit there watch it. That's what's crazy. It's not even like you see her off, you don't see her because she's off screen. You watch her watch this man die. And then she gets up and decides to then say, oh, there's the gasoline. Let me light the shit. And again, in movie fashion, she can't fucking light the lighter. The one easy ass skill you need to have in this movie.
Horror movies have done terrible things for the marketing of lighters and torches.
And then she doesn't die. Like, we see the morgue, we see the sheet over his body, and then somehow she's still alive. And then she goes to identify his body, and then the spirit is there again, out and about.
I'm telling you, it's
you
a stalking.
had many chances to take out Karen, ma'am.
And then it just cuts to black. Like, we don't see what the ghost does to Karen. It just cuts to black in credits.
Gives her phone number.
Let me tell you a fun journey that happened to me watching this movie because I'm confused as to what the fuck's happening. I get to the end of this movie. Karen's back to back like she's about to do a movie poster with said spirit. And then I see a little timer from Peacock putting on an ad. So I watched the whole ad thinking, oh, there's more parts.
Oh, no.
And then there was nothing.
Oh, no.
Peacock got you.
Just I pay for Peacock, so I didn't get the ad, but it immediately started playing Insidious, and I'm like, no, I don't want this.
I don't know why I got the ad because the entire episode there were no ads in it, and then at the end, like, it just fades black, and I see a spinning wheel. And they show me it's like a promo. I don't fucking know. And then it does start playing another movie. And I was like, what? I thought I missed. I was like,
we don't get Peacock in the UK, but we have Amazon Prime, and I pay for Amazon Prime, right?
Right.
And they've just introduced this stupid thing where you've paid for it, but we're going to put adverts in it. Now you're going to get ads. And I swear to God, they like, on terrestrial or like cable television over here, there's a general sense of sensitivity. Like, they'll wait for a scene to end. And Amazon doesn't give a fuck.
No,
like, mid-syllable. They'll
Like, literally, like, mid-line. And it's like,
just
do
like
you
program,
need a holiday?
like 25 minutes into the movie, play the ad. Like,
Right.
you don't give a shit what's going on.
It's
absolutely
horrible.
Awful. And it's always what I hate about it is that they'll do the analytics on the cookies from your search history, and they'll go, here are the 4 adverts you're going to be watching all fucking week. Right?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Speaking of the hospital stuff, man, I'd like, the film itself felt very American. I know it's set in Japan, but like, there was a few things, like clerical things that didn't match up to my experiences in Japan, and it kind of snapped me out of it, like, quite violently. So like, I had to visit the hospital when I was living in Japan for whatever reason. I think it was like suspected liver failure because of my job. I was drinking heavily for like stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a host. It's essentially like a rent-a-friend. Someone comes in, buys you for an hour, and you sit and drink with them. It's a watered-down hooker. I was a watered-down
It's
hooker.
a prostitute
There
for
you go.
friendship.
Yeah. There you go. So that was fun. But I was drinking a lot because the customers would buy you the drinks and shit like this. I ended up at the hospital. My experience in the hospital was fucking wildly different to this.
Right.
So I was watching it. I was like, that's what would happen if I went to the hospital now over here. But when I was in Japan, they were like, right, okay, strip it down. Here's some hospital issue underwear. Stand on this platform. There's 6 of us around you. Here's the diagnosis. Get the fuck out. Also,
Oh, wow.
God.
that's $3,000. And I'm like, brilliant. That's amazing.
Ooh.
Let's go.
Oh my God.
So that was it, though. But it was like an in and out thing. They wanted to know immediately. You wanted to do your thing straight away. You wanted to get you out. It wasn't sort of like the police are going to come in and question you now.
Right.
Would you like Jello or chicken?
Right. Yeah.
It's like,
Feel free
mean,
to
to be
stay
honest-
in your little corner that
Right.
you
yeah,
hold
yeah.
up in.
yeah.
I mean,
odd.
Ben, to be honest, your experience sounds like a mugging with extra theatre.
It kind of was, to be fair, man. Kind of
It's
was.
mugging with a diagnosis.
Yeah.
Give us
exactly.
all your fucking money. And by the way, you have a spiritually transmitted disease. Goodbye.
That's essentially it. It was great. Yeah, there's a
Well-
few little bits that snapped me out of it.
We did it, Jackie. We did it.
That is the Grudge.
Yes, that is the Grudge. Let's see if
Yay.
there are any fun facts that are interesting enough to recall that we missed. I do
Good.
love that Bill Pullman appeared in Scary Movie 4 as a parody of this film as the same exact character. And I feel
Yeah.
like this is why I thought I saw this movie and why every time I saw the little boy, I started
Yeah.
laughing, like literally because of Scary Movie. So
Oh, what is that when he's at the top of the stairs being like Mitsubishi, Toshiba? Yeah, that's fucking outrageous. I need to watch that again.
The director doesn't speak English, so he had to have translators on set in order to help him direct the cast and crew who didn't understand Japanese.
I
But-
think that goes some way to explain some of the performance decisions in
Yes.
the film.
But the actors said that all the actors on the movie adored him as a director, and they loved that he made it so much fun to be on set. Like he would kind of come up behind them and kind of scare them sometimes. He was just really fun.
How charming.
Oh, because
Yeah, I know.
he did all the noises.
Oh, okay.
So I think he would like come up behind them and do the
Again, and as charming as that is, for a man who's made the same film 5 times with the same cast on the same set,
Yeah.
the fact that he's also the guy making the noises, I'm like, dude, this is less of a hobby now and more of a diagnosis. Like-
So
We've got your test results back. You are bisexual.
from the sounds, they do say that Kyoko's signature croak comes from the fact that her husband snapped her neck, and but the snapping of her neck didn't kill her. And
Yeah.
so she's trying to breathe through a broken windpipe.
Oh,
It's fucked,
nice.
isn't it?
So
Yes.
that sucks. And her
Yeah.
stumbles also come from the fact that her ankle is broken from trying to run away from her husband. She
Yeah.
also is covered in blood because he slashed her repeatedly with a box cutter. So
This is all in the extended cut. Like
Yeah, the
I've got the
unrated cut.
extended cut, and it's great.
Yeah.
Because all of this stuff is in there in like the black and white flashbacks.
Yeah, you see,
Mm.
I got the extended cut, but I couldn't get the subtitles for the extended cut. So
I had
the
to get them
subtitles,
separately as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucked.
and so all my subtitles were wildly out of sync. So for the scenes in Japanese, I had to watch it and go, "Oh, this is fascinating." And then
Yeah.
about 90 to 180 seconds later, the
Mhm.
subtitles would flash up of what the Japanese conversation was in the
Yeah,
last
yeah.
scene.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's good, man. It's fun.
The thing I find interesting is that when Sarah Michelle Gellar did the DVD Blu-ray commentary, she remembers that Jason Behr had recently guest starred on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. To
Aw.
be more exact, season 2, episode 7, Lie to Me. But she did not remember that Clea DuVall was also on an episode called Out of Mind, Out of Sight.
my favorite episode.
The girl who turns invisible. This was because Gellar never had any scenes with DuVall.
Oh, okay.
So there's
I thought it
that.
was
I'd have-
because
yeah,
she was
'cause-
actually invisible. Like,
I see. If I was Clea DuVall, I would have taken that as shade. I'd be like, "Oh, you remember him, huh?"
Yeah.
But
Well,
if
they were
they weren't
in
in
scenes
scenes, yeah, exactly.
together.
Yeah, no, that makes it more
Yeah.
less upsetting.
Before filming, the cast and crew went through a ceremony where they were blessed so nothing bad could happen to them for filming.
And you know
Oh.
what?
Mm.
American white movies, y'all need to do this shit because
Yeah.
we have done like a few spooky movies or even witch movies on this podcast, The Craft, Practical Magic,
Mhm.
where they did not do any blessings, which is obviously to respect that this is like real practice for
Yeah.
people.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they had crazy shit happen on their sets. So
Right.
Yeah. Look at The Crow. The Crow is like one of the
Right.
most cursed productions in history. They had a phone
Yeah.
call on day one saying, "Don't do it because bad stuff's a coming," and they were like, "Nah, it's fine."
and then they tried to redo the shit. Like
Oh,
y'all
God,
are
Oh, we covered
nothing.
both.
Oh,
and,
mate.
uh,
Have you seen the remake?
No, I refuse.
Never do. Just
Don't.
never do.
Don't
It's
bother.
not worth it.
It's
Never
really
do.
not.
Before we get into ratings, why don't you guys tell everybody where they can find you on social and where they can listen to your podcast?
Well, the podcast is everywhere. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you listen to podcasts. Same with
We're on
YouTube.
it. Yep.
We put full episodes of the podcast up on YouTube. We put extra stuff on YouTube as well. But social media, we've got TikTok, and that's at Every Movie Ever Podcast.
Instagram is Every Movie Ever _podcast.
And YouTube, we're just Every Movie Ever Podcast. But we are upsettingly active on social media with content that's unique to those platforms. So you won't hear it in the show, but it means that, you know, you're not getting duplicate stuff. We care. We care.
We don't care. I ain't got time for that. So if you want to see duplicate shit, head over to @NoMoreLateFeeds on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and Threads. And if you want to see any links that we talked about, it will be in our show notes. All right, Jackie, hit us with these ratings.
Okay, so how are we feeling? Rob, we'll start with you. What is your present day rating of The Grudge?
Okay, so this is a 2-day rental. During the watching of it, having only seen the original, but I hadn't seen the original since it came out. You know, it was an early 2000s watch for me. So I kind of had it on this pedestal of like, oh, it's great. And rewatching this, there wasn't that much to dislike, realistically. That was an addition or somehow, you know, worse than the original in ways that were obvious from a 20-year memory of a film. Having talked about it extensively with you guys, I like it less.
You're
Like,
welcome.
I would have said, like, yeah, it's fine. But as we've talked about it, I'm like, oh no, this is dog water. Like, it's just bizarre choices that sort of don't translate across the cultural barrier. Western people acting in bizarre ways, Japanese people acting in bizarre ways. And it's a kind of nobody's behaving as they would really. It's a kind of halfway house between two cultures that ends up existing nowhere. But there are some spooks in there that got me. There's a jump scare on a bus that I wasn't expecting that I found particularly unpleasant. And again, it comes back to, you know, everyone's got a corner in their ceiling. You know, everyone's got a corner in their ceiling that you don't look at. And this is a film that will make you check it when you go for a wee in the night.
Oh, God.
There you go.
So this is a 2-day rental for me. I don't hate it. I don't think it's awful. I would watch it again, but in like 20 years.
When you've forgotten.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put this as a 2-day rental. Watching it, it was great for nostalgia reasons. I was like, holy shit, I feel like I'm, 13, 14 again, doing my little family watch along. So that was great. That was a great aspect of it. But then I think I'm old enough and I've been spoiled by horror movies and plot lines and, well-written stuff that I can sort of relate it to. And I'm like, sure. Sarah Michelle Gellar was a welcome nostalgic crush that I hadn't thought about for a little while because Jesus Christ, the second she was on the screen, I was 14 again. I was like, puberty brain took over, nothing else mattered. I was like, hello.
And we're back.
Hello. Hello. Other than that, there's not much going for it. It's fine. It's aggressively mediocre. There's a few jump scares. That's it. 2-day rental. There you go.
Same day rental for me. I can't kill it. I don't want it.
Okay, but sorry, let me just briefly, I'm confused. So like a horror movie should be scary, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to be scared by it. So if if you can kill the thing, it's less scary.
Still
Right?
scary, but there's a fighting chance, though, right?
Right.
Yes.
But
And
you're saying if you can't kill it, it's so scary that it's no longer a good horror movie.
not that it's good. I just don't want to watch it.
Oh, okay. Okay, fair.
It can be an excellent movie, and I don't want any part of it because I
Fine.
don't want to lay awake at night looking in the corner of my ceiling wondering if she's going to come after me and I have no fighting chance.
Totally understandable.
Understood. Yeah, I get that now. It's a worse film because it's scary. I was like, no.
What are you rating it, Danielle?
I don't know what was happening. I don't know what was happening. So I'm going to say same day. Is it worse than Killjoy? No. But it's still a same day rental for me. I can't if I never see this movie again, I'll be okay. Because I don't know what the fuck was happening.
Fair. Very fair.
Yeah.
Well, if you have any opinions on The Grudge, hit us up at our quick drop 909-601-6653. Twat us at the Twitters, hum us at the threads, and you can be featured on a future episode.
And don't forget to tune in next week as we get ready to face the traps and terror of Saw. And just a caveat, I have never seen Saw before, so it will be a very interesting ride.
I'm so jealous.
And a huge shout out to Ben and Rob from Every Movie Ever for stopping by. We had a blast. We have your list of movies that we've earmarked for you in the future.
Yes.
But thank you so much for joining us this week.
It's been an absolute pleasure and an utter privilege. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us. It's been amazing.
And as always, be kind and rewind.